Hello everybody and welcome back to English for You. My name is Reese.
And I'm Kat.
And today we are on day 2 of our article, Why Taiping-shan Should Be Next on Your Travel List.
Yes, and I agree that it should.
Yes.
Because it's a great place to visit. If you're ever in southern Ilan, it's one of the big destinations. It's, as they call it, the crown jewel.
Crown jewel.
Yeah.
Yesterday in day 1, we talked about Taiping-shan and some of the things you can do there, including visiting the hot springs. And maybe if you go in the winter, you'll see a snow-capped mountain peak.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Dabajinshan. Yeah. So you can also, let me think, you can have a little hike along railroad tracks, some old railroad tracks that used to be used by the Japanese. We're going to talk a little bit about that more today, but we're also talking about some other things you can do there. And you can also go to Jiuzhi, the hot springs, get in the springs, and you can boil some eggs in the hot spring water.
That's right.
Yep.
So cool.
It is very nice. So let's find out what else Taiping-shan has to offer travelers and get right into the article.
Reading.
Why Taiping-shan should be next on your travel list. While it might be a mountain, you don't have to do much walking to get a sense of Taiping-shan's beauty. The Bongbong train travels 3 kilometers through the forest past lovely valley views. This cute train was created to help the Japanese transport logs through the forest. Today, it only carries people. The fact that it has open sides means you can take some great photos during the ride. Typhoon Lake on Taiping-shan's east side is another highlight. At 1,840 meters above sea level, it is one of Taiwan's highest bodies of water. Due to its remote location, Typhoon has hardly been disturbed over the centuries. It looks just as it did thousands of years ago, with a perfectly still surface bordered by pine trees. Just to the south of Typhoon, Wangyangshan Trail offers breathtaking views. From the top of this hike, you can look out over a sea of clouds. It's the perfect place to take a breather while you take in the majesty of Taiping-shan.
So today's article begins. It says, while it might be a mountain, you don't have to do much walking to get a sense of Taiping-shan's beauty.
That's true. Yeah.
That's good.
You can actually take a train.
Oh, cool.
And it's a cute little train. It's even got a cute name. It's called the Bongbong train. Bongbong. Bongbong train travels 3 kilometers through the forest past lovely valley views.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the name, Bongbong.
Bongbong. I think it's probably after the sound.
Onomatopoeia.
Yeah. So a valley, if we're talking about the thing you can view, which is a valley is a noun that means a place between the mountains or hills. It's basically if you take 2 mountains that are next to each other, what's in between them? A valley. It's a low point in a mountainous area. So since Taiping-shan is a mountain, of course it has valleys near it. And Taiwan has many valleys between its mountains. Now, that's opposed to canyons. Canyons are spaces in the earth carved by rivers, and they have something called a ravine, which is not a valley. There's a similar thing, but usually ravines have a much sharper drop. It just goes straight down. Valleys are easier to get into. You can hike down into them. And they're wider. They don't always have rivers. They might. A lot of towns and cities are made in valleys. Like I think Taiwan, or Taipei is even kind of in a valley, right?
Yeah, because it's tucked in between.
Yeah,
basin.
Yeah, so a lot of mountains surrounding it, but Taipei itself is kind of low. So that means the valley. And there's even a song, Down in the Valley. But here's an example sentence. Down in the valley, between these mountains, people built a town for miners to live in.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I used to live in Beijing, and Beijing is kind of a valley. It's more like a plain or a basin, but it's also...
I mean, I guess it's too big to be a valley.
It is, yeah. There are mountains around it. But the word valley makes me think of Wales. Really? As in the country Wales.
Oh,
living in the valley. Because Wales is a very mountainous country. And all the cute little villages inside the mountains are very, very nice.
I think of the Rocky Mountains and the valleys between them, which is close to where my hometown is. Yeah. So anyway, what about the bong bong train?
Well, the bong bong train, it tells us more. It says this cute train was created to help the Japanese transport logs through the forest. Ooh, cool. So that's a pretty useful purpose for this train, the bong bong train.
Yes, exactly. But it's still running.
It's still running. That's cool. Well, we have this word transport to talk about. Let's have a listen. Our vocabulary word is transport. The word transport is a verb, and to transport something means to move something from one place to another, usually using a vehicle like a truck, car, boat, or train. We often use this word when we're talking about moving big things or many things at one time. So when you move house or move apartment, you'll need to transport all of your things from one place to the other. The noun transport talks generally about the different ways and methods of moving around, like taking the train, riding a bike, or grabbing a taxi. Public transport, however, refers specifically to the forms of transport that are available for people living in an area. For example, public buses or the metro. Here's an example sentence using the verb transport. The family decided to transport all of their gold north to their house in Scotland to keep it safe.
All right, so we have a transport vehicle, the bong bong train.
The bong bong train.
But the article says today it only carries people. The fact that it has open sides means you can take some great photos during the ride. Yeah, so it has basically like windows, like very wide windows, I think. Kind of like a trolley.
That's cool.
Yeah.
An interesting form of transport.
I have never been on it, but I've seen pictures of it. It's very cute.
Nice.
Yeah. And what else do we got?
Well, it's going to tell us more about what we can see on Taiping Shan. It says Typhoon Lake on Taiping Shan's east side is another highlight. So we have a word here, highlight. It's used as a noun, and a highlight is a particularly good, memorable, or interesting part of something bigger. We often use this word to describe the best part of an experience or memory that we have. For example, I went to Disneyland a few years ago. The whole park was fun, but Space Mountain was a highlight.
Ooh, fun. I think for me, the highlight of Disneyland would be Thunder Mountain Railroad. That was a fun one.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So apparently Typhoon Lake is a highlight of many people's trip. It wasn't for me, I'll tell you why later, but right now let's take a look at the article. At 1,840 meters above sea level, it is one of Taiwan's highest bodies of water.
That's pretty high.
It's what they call an alpine lake, which means a lake that's on a mountain.
It's almost 2 kilometers up.
Yeah, it's very, very high. And that means that clouds come in a lot. And so when I went to see Typhoon Lake, I could not see Typhoon Lake because it was covered completely by mist.
Oh dear, very misty lake.
Kind of a bummer.
Although, does it not kind of give it a nice ethereal...
It was interesting, but I couldn't see literally anything beyond the few trees in front of me.
Yeah, that happens in Yangmingshan sometimes too.
Yeah.
Well, the article tells us more about this lake. It says, due to its remote location, Typhoon has hardly been disturbed over the centuries. Okay, well, that sounds very beautiful. I like places that haven't been touched by humans.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about with this sentence, so buckle up. First, we have the phrase due to. Due to, quite simply, means because of something. Due to the rain, the yoga class was cancelled. So because of the rain, the yoga class was cancelled. We also have a vocabulary word, which is remote. Remote is an adjective, and it's used to describe something that is far away from everything else, usually in a lonely, isolated location. We often use the word remote to describe places. Imagine a small old house sitting alone in the middle of a giant desert. We would describe that house as being remote. It's far away from anything else. I love traveling to remote parts of the world. You can really experience nature there as untouched by humans.
Yeah, I agree.
So an example sentence with remote. My auntie lives in a remote part of Wyoming in the US. far up in the mountains.
Wyoming? I think anywhere you go in Wyoming is going to be remote.
Yeah, it's a huge state with not many people.
Very, very, very few people. Some people even say it doesn't exist.
That's so offensive.
I know. But anyway, so yes, someplace remote would be like Typhoon Lake. It's pretty remote because it hasn't been touched by people. You can see it, you can be next to it, but you're not going to go toward the water. You can only see it from up high. So yeah, that's what we learned. And we learned that it's a remote location. Location is our second vocabulary word for the sentence. Let's take a look at what it means. When we talk about somewhere that is a location, this is a noun that means where something is, its place or site. In other words, where it's located. The location of Typhoon Lake is remote. So if you ask somebody, what's the location? You mean, where is it? If Typhoon is in a remote location, that means the place it is in is hard to get to. A location can also just be another word for a place. So you can say, this is the location of such and such thing. Here's an example sentence. This house's location is perfect. It's close to our children's school and also convenient to many shops and services.
We also have this word century. Century is a noun and a century is 100 years. It's that easy. The article said that Typhoon has hardly been disturbed over the centuries. That means it hasn't really changed for many hundreds of years. We also use the word century to talk about different periods of history according to the number of the year. So any year from 1900 to 1999 is in the 20th century. And right now in 2020, or 2021.
Yeah, 2021.
We're living in the 21st century. So here's an example sentence. The Qing dynasty in Chinese history lasted for almost 3 centuries.
300 years.
Yeah, almost.
That's pretty long.
Very long for a dynasty.
Yes.
Dynasty.
Yeah. So the article says that it being the lake, looks as if, just as it did thousands of years ago, with a perfectly still surface bordered by pine trees. Sounds very nice. So border is a verb here that we have to talk about. To border something means to be on the edge of it or to be all around it. If a fence borders your house, it means the fence is on the line between your house and another house. A border is also a noun for the line between two places, two official places, like the border between the US and Canada, for example. You could say the US borders Canada. Now, the trees bordering the lake means they are all around the edge of it. That means the lake is just, here's the water, here's all the trees, all around the lake. Now, an example sentence for border. My family's house is bordered by desert, so many wild animals come near our property. Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
It was not that bad, as long as we kept our animals in at night.
Bears?
Coyotes.
Oh, okay.
And snakes.
Oh.
Yeah, so, you had to be careful. But anyway, so we're talking about pine trees here. Now, pine trees are a kind of tree that you could say they're kind of triangle shaped. They come to a point at the top and they kind of go like this.
Yeah.
And they are the kind of trees that never turn colors. They're always green. They never lose their leaves.
Yeah.
And they can grow up to be very, very tall.
Yeah, and they don't have big soft leaves.
Yeah, they have needles.
Oak trees. They have sharp, hard needles.
Yeah, or little soft, tiny needles.
Yeah, and are pine trees what we use for Christmas trees?
Often, yeah. Like it could be pines, it could be firs, it could be spruces.
Yeah.
Any of those are all kind of called evergreen trees.
They're kind of Christmassy looking because they often grow in colder places where it might snow.
Up on mountains, for example,
Indeed.
like Taiping Shan.
Well, the article tells us more. It says, just to the south of Typhoon, Wangyangshan Trail offers breathtaking views. Ooh, did you do this one?
I don't think so. We went on a viewing platform, which was kind of long, but I don't think we did this.
Wangyangshan, I guess, means looking towards the mountain view.
I guess so.
I'm not sure. But we have a word here which is really cool. It's the word breathtaking. Breathtaking is an adjective, and we use it to describe something that is so beautiful and amazing that it makes us stop breathing for a moment. It takes our breath away. It is breathtaking. We often use breathtaking to describe landscapes and beautiful places like mountains or the view from the top of Taipei 101. We can use it to describe anything that is incredibly beautiful and awesome.
Like you look breathtaking, darling, in that dress.
Yeah, it's a very nice thing to say.
Yeah.
Or you could even describe like a story or a movie as breathtaking.
Yeah, like it was a breathtaking film. Yeah, it was just one of the best you've ever seen. All right, so the article says, from the top of this hike, Wangyangshan Trail, you can look out over a sea of clouds. I feel like I did that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Because a sea of clouds is basically the clouds are in just the right spot. They're not in front of you, they're just below you, and they look like an ocean because they're so low and so thick.
Right, so you're so high up that you're above some of the clouds. That's really cool. The article tells us more. It says it's the perfect place to take a breather while you take in the majesty of Taiping Shan.
Yeah.
Sounds really nice.
It is very nice.
Let's have a talk about a phrase used in this sentence.
Take something in.
The verb phrase to take something in means to take time to really experience and think about the thing that you're doing or seeing. If you're climbing a mountain and you stop to take in the view, that means you stop hiking for a while to just sit and look at the beautiful landscape. We can also use this phrase to talk about important information. If somebody tells you something surprising, you might need some time to take it in. That means you're so surprised that you need some time to think about and process the information in your brain. If you win the lottery, you might need a few moments to take it in. Finally, we have the word majesty. I'll take this one.
Go for it.
Majesty is a noun, and usually we use this word to talk about the royal family. If you mean the Queen of England, if you meet the Queen of England, you should call her Your Majesty. And yes, do a nice bow or curtsy. However, we can also use this word to talk about things that have imposing character or grandeur. Sounds fancy. That just means it's a thing that is big, beautiful, and amazing to look at. So amazing that it could be royal.
Ooh.
The majesty of something, like a mountain, is the beauty and impressiveness of that thing. The adjective majestic is a bit easier to use. You could say that the mountain was majestic instead of saying it has majesty.
That's true.
Both are okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying that Taiping Shan is the crown jewel of Yilan. That would mean it's royal.
Right, we've come full circle.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, so that means we are all done with our article on Taiping Shan.
I want to go.
Yeah, you should go. I recommend it. I think I will probably go again someday. And maybe I will try and see Typhoon Lake properly again.
Not shrouded in clouds.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing. But it's okay. You guys can probably get an opportunity to see it. Just go during the right time of year. Maybe not when it's cold. All right, so let's go on and look at our For You chat.
For You chat.
All right, our For You chat question for today. Why do you think people love spending their vacations in nature? Do you feel the same way?
Okay, I think people enjoy, there's something innate in us. Something that we're born with.
In nature.
In nature. That makes us really feel peaceful and kind of at home when we're surrounded by nature. You know, that feeling when you're like in the middle of a forest surrounded by trees and you've got the sounds of the animals and the smells of the plants and vegetation. There's something very natural about that and comfortable.
I think, you know, towns and cities and man-made things are exciting, but when you want to feel like yourself, when you want to feel like, you know, kind of clean your soul out, you go into nature.
You do, because nature is often quiet, although not always. You know, standing below a waterfall isn't quiet.
It's quiet in a different way.
You know, living in a city, there are so many different kinds of noises, beeping and shouting and mobile phones and music. Being in nature is a chance for our brains to relax and escape. And whenever I go on vacation, I always go to a place that has this kind of natural experience. And it's also one thing I love about the UK is that we have a lot of beautiful nature.
That's what I've heard.
We don't have crazy mountains and like huge waterfalls, but we do have expansive fields and farms and very deep, dense forests.
Yeah, I remember going into the forest in Wales, actually.
It's so pretty and so just ethereal and calming.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And the US has different kind of nature. I kind of feel like our nature is more like what you said, majestic.
It's beautiful.
We have big nature. We have the Grand Canyon. We have huge mountains. Just everything's big.
Driving up the California-Nevada border, the mountains there were crazy big.
Sierras.
The Sierras. I've never seen things as big as that in my life.
And Colorado, I think Colorado Springs, the mountains there are also just
so pretty.
Enormous. Yeah. So yeah, if you ever go to the US, please take a vacation in nature. Do it the same in the UK. Do the same in Taiwan, because Taiwan's nature is just really, really something.
So pretty.
Yeah. So that's all the time we've got. And we will see you for our next travel article probably next month. Bye-bye.
See you in Taiping Shan.
Vocabulary Review. Valley. During winter, the valley between the two mountains is covered in snow. Transport. We had to rent a truck to transport all the furniture from our old apartment to our new one. Remote. The ship sailed for a week and landed on a remote island in the middle of the ocean. Location. The hotel's location is great because it's near the beach and many good restaurants. Century. Some kinds of turtles can live for over a century. This one is 103 years old. Border. The river is bordered by a thick forest that grows along its edge.
智慧小补帖
Highlight. Disturb. Breathtaking. Majesty.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net